Similar figures are shapes that may not be the same size, but they are the same. So they might not be. So this figure is similar to this figure. It's just a little bit bigger. They're in proportion. There might not be the exact same size, but it's the same shape. So these two figures right here are similar. So they're proportional. We call them they're proportional. So we can set up two ratios that are equal. So if I write 10 over x, or I read it as 10 is to x as, so equals, the number I'm going to put on top, 10 is on the right hand side, 6 corresponds with it, so it's going to be 6 over 7. So x and 7 are the same, and 6 and 10 are the same. So to solve this, we know that the cross products are equal from last section. So this means that 6x has to equal 7 times 10, which is 70. So you divide both sides by 6. So 70 divided by 6 is 11.6 repeating. So I'm going to do 11.6 and put a repeating symbol. And there are no units like centimeters or feet or inches, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, B is a parallelogram. So 8 matches up with the 4. So 8 is to 4, so we read it as 8 is to 4 as 6 is to x. 6 is to x. So when you're writing these proportions, you might have wondered that maybe I did it a little bit differently. There's actually different ways that you can set this up. So instead of doing 8 and 4, I could have wrote 8 is to 6, 8 is to 6 as 4 is to x. Or I could have did x is to 4 as 6 is to 8. There's all different ways that you can do that. One that you can't do is I couldn't do 8 is to x as 4, or 4 on the bottom and 6 right there. That wouldn't really make sense because 8 and 6 are on the same shape, and then x and 4 on the same shape, but 8 doesn't match up with x. 8 matches up with the 4, so that wouldn't work. But these other three proportions can work. So remember, to solve a proportion, you circle the cross products and set them equal. So this is going to be 8x equals 24, so x equals 3. And now I can solve it on all of them. 8x equals 24, x equals 3. 8x equals 24, x equals 3. So there are multiple ways to set up a proportion that would still work. Second example. A tree casts a shadow that is 10 feet long. So I'm going to draw this out. A tree casts a shadow, or makes a shadow, that's 10 feet long. So you have the sun over here. And it's making a shadow that's 10 feet long. A 5-foot woman casts a shadow. So this is 5 feet. That's 4 feet long. So you have these two similar triangles. So just like on A and B, you're going to want to set up, we want to know how tall the tree is. So that's going to be x. So we're going to set up a proportion which is two equal ratios. So I'm going to do x is to 10. So I did x is to 10. So now I'm going to want to do the same thing over here. 5 is to 4. So equals 5 over 4. So now I do the cross products. 4x equals 50. So I divide 50 by 4, and I get x is 12.5. So at the end I want to specify it's 12.5 feet. So put FT for feet, don't forget the units. Okay, here's another shadow example. So a flagpole casts a shadow 5 feet long. So here's a flagpole, and the shadow always goes on the bottom, 5 feet. So you have this triangle. A yardstick, so a yardstick, how many feet are in a yard? 3 feet are in a yard, so 3 feet. Cast a shadow, that's 1.5 feet. So here's another triangle. These two triangles are similar. How tall is the flagpole? So here's x. So again, I'm going to set up a proportion, which is 2 equal ratios. X is to 5 as x is to 5 as 3 is to 1.5. So when I'm solving these, I set the cross products equal. So 1.5 times x equals 15. Divide both sides by 1.5. So 15 divided by 1.5 is 10. And we're talking about how tall it is, and it's in feet. So the tree is 10 feet tall. And the last part, the scale on a map is 1 inch equals 40 miles. So this is kind of the start of our proportion. 1 inch is 40 miles equals how many miles? So how many miles is going to be x? So if we're talking about the miles are on the bottom over here. So I'm going to write x on the bottom over here. If they are 1.5 inches apart on the map. So if I have inches on the top right here, I'm going to write 1.5 inches on the top right here. So 1.5 inches. So now I circle the cross products. So it's x equals 40 times 1.5. So x equals 40 times 1.5. And you get 60. So it's 60, but I want to answer the question. So is it 60 inches, 60 miles? Well, the question is how many miles, so my answer is going to be 60 miles.